The Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence, please. Thanks very much. We'll get started. I need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Diane moves, Keith seconds. Questions, observations, changes, deletions?
Minor detail. And the non-public, just you misspelled my name. Not a big deal.
sorry.
But yeah. Thank you.
I was hoping to have it noted, bottom of page 2, at the commendations, where I worked with the Goffstown 250th Committee block party. It just says Goffstown block party, but it is part of the 250th Committee block party.
Any other changes? Seeing none. All in favor of approving as modified / amended? Against, abstentions, unanimous.
Yes, we have a letter from Senator D'Alessandro thanking the administration and myself and the board for opening our schools and allowing him to come through. We had a great visit, was very positive about his visit here, liked what we were doing, and then there's 2 substitute reports.
And we're passing those around. Commendations and good news.
Start. Okay. I'm actually going to start with Glen Lake. Glen Lake had a great start to the school year with their largest September enrollment ever. They had their first school-wide assembly last week with a visit from Michelle Menagerie, who brought her live animal show, Mostly Mammals. This was paid for by the Glen Lake School Partnership, their parent group. Tomorrow night is the kindergarten parent information night. Teachers have created a PowerPoint presentation that provides an overview of a day in kindergarten and an explanation of the curriculum. Teachers have created new web pages this year utilizing iWeb. They look great, just check them out. And that's Glen Lake. And then I have Lab. 3rd and 4th graders have been participating in kneecap prep for the last 4 weeks. Mrs. Pishka spent last week giving kneecap pep talks during the lunch period. Our active learners are ready for their test this week. We start tomorrow. Also, as a way to show our community support for our test takers, grades 1 and 2 have adopted a 3rd and 4th grade class and will be offering words of encouragement, notes, poems, songs, and banners during the next 3 weeks of kneecap. And if I can just have a moment to show you what...
It's adorable.
Yeah.
It is the cutest. And it's, again, a great use of community. It's a great use of technology that our teachers are engaged in.
Sorry.
We don't have a Proxima, otherwise we would have shown it on the big screen.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I know. It would have been cool, but I can kind of go around. So I received this from Mrs. Lamson's class. It's hard to see, I'm sure, but Mrs. Lamson's class presented us today with this. I was able to just...
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Is there any way that you might be able to pick the screen up? You can't? Okay.
Okay. Okay. Well, there's some audio on it. Is that okay?
Yeah, great.
Okay. All right, so I was able to project this on my smartboard, so I was able to go ahead and touch each section, but I'll just wait for you.
Good luck on kneecap. Do your best and show what you know.
And then the teacher, that's Mrs. Lamson, her student teacher, and our aide in the house.
Remember to try hard, slow down, think carefully at everything that you've learned, and do your best. You will do great.
And then the children, this is really cute.
Work really hard.
So each child was able to record a
Make it
message.
easy as 1, 2, 3. Do a good job on the kneecap.
I won't play them all, but there's just some of
Don't worry, you're gonna do a good job. keep trying.
So they each had a message, and it was really sweet because my class was really, I mean, their faces when they were watching this, they were just smiling the whole time. And then I asked them how they felt, and one little boy raised his hand and said, "You know what? I don't feel that nervous anymore," which was really sweet. So I just wanted to share that. So that's Mrs. Lanson's class.
When are the open houses for the elementary schools? Do you know the dates?
I'm sorry,
The dates for the open houses
Our
for the
parent-
elementaries?
the parent information night, and
Yeah.
we had those
Yeah.
already.
Oh, you did them already,
Yes,
okay.
they were-
They're gonna have them before school starts pretty soon. Really?
That's terrific, and the other nice thing about it is they're sort of getting an understanding around, for both the kids who did it and the kids who are taking it, around the fact that this is just something that is part of your day, part of your year, and it shouldn't be looked at differently.
Right.
It shouldn't be anxiety provoking.
Right, exactly. And I think it just feels good for the third graders to just have that interaction with the first graders, because we don't have a lot of that. So yeah, it was just really neat. And then I had another student that said, "These first graders are geniuses." Yeah, they are. So yeah, it was really cool. It was really
And
neat.
by the way, they think the third graders are geniuses.
Well, and that's just, yeah, it was really neat.
Wow.
So, yeah, Mrs. Lamson, when she called and said she had a surprise, I did not imagine this, and you just couldn't help but like tear up. And then I had to bring Mrs. Milligan and Mrs. Pishkin, and Mrs. Milligan was like tearing up. So it was really neat, and yeah, it was really cool.
I don't have one of those.
Next time.
I have high school students. Homecoming is this week. We have a lot of varsity games. In fact, I just came from the volleyball game. We were holding our own. Lots of student support, lots of student interest, and that was awesome. Our kneecaps are next week. We have kneecaps on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And Wednesday are our PSATs that a boatload of our kids are going to be taking. Preparations for us are underway, and it's a no homework week for the high school, so the kids are very excited about that. It's a no homework week. But based on our increase in scores, they've got some great incentives going on for the students who really have bought into this is important, let's take it seriously as a teenager, and that's great to see. Our open house is Thursday night. Please come. We have some great things going on. And football, Friday night, under the lights.
Yep. The first Friday night
Be
football
there.
under the lights.
And we are undefeated at this point in
Yes.
time,
And we should be on Friday night as well.
so it should be a good game.
Who's the opponent?
Who they playing? Is it Albert? I think it's
playing.
I can check.
Superintendent's supposed to.
Got it in my calendar.
And what time does it start?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock?
The band is
Under
gonna
the
be
lights?
there,
Band, the chorus,
is
it's gonna be a big
there.
to-do, awesome. Lots of students
Tell 'em.
there because of homecoming.
Oh, that's very cool.
Now, is there any
Terrific.
additional charges to go there? I know there's normally a fee for the football games.
Nothing additional.
Okay.
The students are encouraged to bring additional cans as part of their homecoming points.
Thank you.
Terrific.
At Mountain View, we're also getting ready for kneecap our start tomorrow. Nicole has been going around from classroom to classroom, talking to the kids. Teachers, of course, have been preparing for about a week and a half, doing things in class. I know I've done that in my own classes. We do have incentives. They get tickets, and it goes into a lottery. If you've answered all your questions, you leave nothing blank, you get a ticket, and you can win a prize. If your classroom does really well and everyone finishes and you have good behavior, your classroom gets a big ticket and goes in for a prize for a pizza party. So everyone's all excited about earning an incentive. That's been the big focus. That's been the big focus. I checked with Mr. Garrity, who told me that everyone's having fun in sports. We're having a good time. He told me he didn't think that anybody was doing totally outstanding, that we needed to make note of it, but everyone seemed to be having a good time, and he was happy with how things were going, and that ended up good.
Any other good news and commendations? Jane?
I read the paper before I came over, and I noticed they had an article about Glen Lake School being named National School of Distinction for the Schools Against Hunger program, which I thought was a wonderful, the article said that there were less than 2,000 schools in the country that were given that distinction, so I think that's really cool. I also noticed that the cross-country team did really quite well in the huge Dairyfield Park cross-country race that they have every year. I remember going to those. And also that the future business leaders had a booth at the block party. And I always think it's wonderful when, because I know last week we talked about several other organizations being in the, community events where the school kids are there helping the community events be more successful. And I also wanted to say at the football game, I noticed a lot of people that did not have children in the school that were at the football game, just enjoying a really exciting game on a wonderful Saturday afternoon. So it just goes to show how much our schools really add to the community itself.
Thanks. Any others? Moving right on. Any public comment? Seeing none. Standing committee reports? Hank?
The usual manifest. With a total of $1,201,753.97. I'd like to get a motion to accept it.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second, Suzanne.
I'll hit the major items. The 9/22 payroll was $492,074. Payroll taxes were $154,293 for a total of $646,367. If I make it through tonight. Special ed, Crotchet Mountain was $78,197. The Regional Services Education Center in Milford, $19,257. And the Safeway, which is transportation, $11,840 for a total of $109,294. In general expenses, we had Discovery Education, $5,140. Gaylord, $5,145. That was the library shelving from last year. The Goffstown Truck Center, $93,812. Regular ed transportation for September. Icon for the business machine lease, $8,022. North Point Roofing, $28,200. Mountain View Middle School's roof. PSNH, $17,308. We all know what that was for. Valley Communication Systems, $134,470. That was the smart boards and the audio systems, for a total of $292,097. Any questions? Ms. Stitch?
The library shelving, which school was that for?
Maple Ave.
Maple Ave. Remember you ordered it last year?
And that was last year's, yeah.
Yeah, the shelving, the roof,
Shelving, the
smart
roof.
boards are all things that were dollars that were encumbered and paid out of last year's budget,
Yeah.
not this year's. The payments, the activity simply occurred this month.
Right.
Any other questions?
That's it.
All in favor of approving the budget as presented? Opposed? Abstentions? 3 minutes. Any other A&F information?
No.
Human Resources, the next meeting is 11/14 at the SAU. Just so that you know, there are a couple of folks who aren't present here. Lori did call. She was under the weather and couldn't make this evening's meeting and therefore was excused. Planning and communications.
We met tonight. We talked about upcoming articles for the next month or so. Keith is going to be handling the next one. Philip, you'll be handling the one after. Upcoming topics are the late bus, the budget, building committee, the athletic fields. We want to make sure that we call attention to our students who were published in Scientific American. But what we're trying to find, like last week's topic of the unreserved fund balance, took up our entire article.
Good article, too.
Thank you. We have 500 words in which to get our points through, so sometimes we run out of space. I've got Kent on for the one after that, and that will be involving the budget. We also talked about working on some more GTV programs, so we'll take the building committee there, the athletic fields, budget. We also knocked around the possibility of a Facebook page, which we are still tossing around. And that pretty much sums it up for us this week. Our next meeting is the first Monday in November. I'm not sure the date on that.
Thanks very much. Keith?
For C&E, all right, what I promised to do, because last time I forgot my notes, there was basically 4 different topics that we discussed on the meeting of September 12th. The GHS new course proposals, 2 of which we took care of at our last meeting. The other 2 were more modifications rather than additions to, it was actually to break down a couple of courses into 2 tiers. The first one was Introduction to Computer Programming. It was actually going to be broken into 2 tiers. The first one being Introduction to Computer Animation and Game Design, and the second tier of it was going to be Introduction to Visual Basic Programming. They're kind of basically trying to make it a tier system like they had done a few years back on Introduction to Computer Science Repair. They had broken it down into Essentials 1 and Essential 2. So they're doing that with the computer programming, and they are doing that as well.
Keith, can you say the names of those 2 programs classes you just said?
Introduction to Computer Animation and Game Design. It's all part of Introduction to Computer Programming. CIS 112. It's not been approved yet by the board. They were looking to make it into 2 tiers, these particular programs. And part of it had to do with the fact that Running Start has changed their curriculum. So that's the reason why they broke down the computer repairs into 2 tiers as well. Excuse me, actually, it was Cisco Networking that was already in 2 tiers. It was Cisco Networking 1 and 2, and Cisco Networking 3 and 4. There were 2 tiers. And they're doing this to both Introduction to Computers and Introduction to Computer Programming. And Fundamentals of Web Design was going to be broken in. Their second tier was going to be Web Programming. So basically, you're taking Introduction to Computer Programming and create an Introduction to Computer Animation and Game Design, and Tier 2, Introduction to Visual Basic Programming. And then Fundamentals of Web Page Design was going to be broken into, the first tier was still going to be called Fundamental Web Page Design. The second one was going to be Web Programming, Tier 2. And we currently have a Tier 1 and Tier 2 on both Cisco and Introduction to Computer Repair.
Because I just have, MC gave me the names of the courses and I'm just confused. She has 3 new courses, AP Calculus,
Right.
BC, Introduction to Visual Basic Programming, which is a running start.
Right, and
Web
that's the Tier
Programming.
2 to Introduction to Computer Programming. That's going to be the new Tier 2.
Okay, so the other class, the first class is already in.
Yes.
It's a new one, and then Web Programming, which
Is
is a
the
running
Tier
start.
2 to Fundamentals of Web Page Design.
Okay, gotcha.
And then I mentioned how previously we had already created Tier 1 and Tier 2 for computer repairs and for Cisco networking. So that is more did you want to get the motions and everything right now to approve those?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to,
What was the motivation behind the changes?
part of it was that Running Start had changed their curriculums and it was to stay more in line with it. And also, I mean, they're really trying to make sure they challenge the students, offering them another tier to go into. So I'll make a motion that we,
We're just
Improve-
maxing out kids'
And
web,
because the
basic web
demand is
design.
there
Yeah.
for the courses.
And did you say AP Calculus was a new course?
I hadn't gotten that
Yeah,
far.
sorry. I was just confused.
I was doing it in
Couldn't
order of
tell
my
where the first
notes,
section
so-
came
I
from.
was gonna, I thought that we have always had AP.
This is AP Calculus BC.
BC.
We have had AP Calculus AB. This is the next level. What's happening is our kids who are taking algebra at the middle
There's-
school are maxing out on
That's
classes.
how they fit together.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so you get some overlap in the B component,
Yep.
all right, in some of the curriculum, so that as you go through, you're picking up and moving forward and finishing off the B component before you get to the C. So it's a continuation, but it meets the need created by our seventh
math
graders who
Okay.
started taking algebra.
all right, so I made a motion to approve the two new tiers.
Okay?
Second.
Second, Suzanne. Any other questions about the new tiered computer courses, the additions to those courses? All in favor of approving as presented? Opposed? Abstentions? Or unanimous?
All right, we also did talk, and we approved this at our last meeting, was the English language learner. We already approved that. And we also came forward recommending to the board to recommend AP Calculus BC, which we just explained a moment ago, was designed because students were actually maxing out on what they could take for calculus because of the fact that they can now take it in 8th grade as well, the introduction. So I'll make a motion that we approve AP Calculus BC.
Second. And I would add to that, our population has now reached critical mass, so we have enough students to warrant
Mhm.
filling a section if they all continue.
Right, the budgeting is gonna be for 24 students. They're anticipating 12 the first year and more in the second year afterwards. The first year, they don't feel that they'll hit the full 24 students, but they should in year 2 and 3 probably get up to 24 students.
Questions? Concerns? Observations?
Observation.
Yes.
Senior class this year is the first class to have begun with the everyday math program. So it's kind of a neat progression to see that the everyday math program, which I was resistant to. That's not the way I did it. It does have value, and it's really neat to see it. You know, we've hit the ceiling, and I think that's a kind of a cool thing, as long as we can respond to the need to go through the ceiling.
And because I'm an opportunist, the other neat thing about everyday math is it's all mathematics. It all spirals up until you reach high school, and we're still segmenting our math once we get to high school, so that we have algebra, algebra 2, geometry, trigonometry. If we're really lucky, eventually that sort of everyday math piece will keep on going. And so that when you get to high school, what you'll see is a math one that includes across the board instruction and introduces you to the initial concepts of algebra, geometry, trigonometry, calculus. You know, people can start talking about limits in 9th grade. There's no reason why they aren't capable of doing so, but that's if and when we get there, but it's a ways off, but we've demonstrated that it can work. Thanks. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Seeing none, or unanimous?
We also did discuss the summer professional development. It was taken very seriously. It was really just I would say probably the intent of it was instructional strategies to meet all learners. It's probably the way to summarize what they provided for. There's actually a document that's 3 pages long that outlines the dates and what was offered and the number of teachers that participated in it, which is available if anybody wants to just have to ask, and MC can email it off to you. I was looking for the total. I think, okay, here we go. For the 2000, let's see here. Oh, it's got 2 years' worth. 406 teachers participated last year. In total, between 2009 and 2011, a total of 657 teachers have participated in the professional development. And I think there's a typo on it, because when you add up the ones during the school year as well, on top of the ones for the summer, it comes up to a total of 1,318. So about 650 in the summer, about 661 during the school year took advantage of the professional development that was being offered. So you had about 1,300 teachers, not, obviously teachers didn't participate seats. Obviously, some teachers participated in more than one on them. Numerous ones that participated several times. So on that, we worked on updating the curriculum revision cycle. I don't recall there being anything that had to come before the board on that one yet. Do you remember anything? I didn't either,
No,
okay.
there wasn't anything.
And then we also ended up getting a little bit off on a side topic because of a guest from another school board had just brought up basically discussing about what we were offering for class opportunities and the fact that we no longer offered lab and field at the high school, which was cut for several reasons. And we ended up getting to discuss homogeneous versus heterogeneous
That was a slip.
classrooms. So,
Oh, God, newspaper.
And Keith, if I can just on the field, lab and field class, that was only eliminated this year because we cut that position, or we did not fill that position because of the retirement cost, so we didn't fill that position, that's why we're not offering
Right.
it this year.
it was a budget issue that it was eliminated.
What did it do? What was that class?
It was an alternative science.
It's more hands-on, they go out, actually, like, they go down to the stream here and do water research, and it's a lot more hands-on kind of science. Yeah, and we'll bring it back, I mean, our goal is to keep that position in the budget and.
Yeah,
there's a
the course
biology
wasn't ever
position
eliminated, it just
here.
wasn't offered. I think I used the word eliminated, and that was incorrect. It just wasn't offered this year. So, someone shared their concerns about that, and it was explained to them why it was not offered this year, mostly because of budgetary issues and just not having enough teachers to spread them across the board for
Right.
everything.
And one of the other pieces that was also discussed is that when that course first started being offered, we had fewer science offerings generally
Mhm.
and fewer science requirements. Because the state standards have changed, we increased our requirements, offered more courses, which means that we have to spread the same number of instructors over more required courses. And so that, in addition to demand, there's also the ability to meet the demand and to meet all the state requirements for the science strands. The next Sandy meeting is 11/14 at 7 o'clock at the SAU. Suzanne, Budget Committee?
Budget committee met second Wednesday of the month, September, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you were there.
I was there.
It was a very long meeting. We spent a great deal of time, I think as I reported before, on electing 2 new members and still have one hopefully to go. We'll see. I guess I'm still, I watched it, a matter of fact, on TV yesterday. Why I do that, I don't know. I'm s-
You were
Well,
there
actually,
live.
I usually learn out more watching, because when I'm there, I get lost. As it stands right now, our budget presentation is going to be the 5th.
I have had a conversation that'll probably come up during your next BC meeting with Chairman Cloutier. We have reserved both the 5th of November
And
and
the
the
19th.
19th of
Yeah.
November. And depending upon our process, it'll either happen on the 5th or the 19th.
Okay,
And the folks at the Lions Club who are holding their event that weekend have been kind enough and patient enough to understand that if we do it on the 5th, we'll do the best that we can to deal with their parking.
Okay. As far as I know, there wasn't really anything extra, anything else to come out of that
Well,
meeting, no.
When's the next meeting?
12th, I think it is.
Well,
1 week from this Wednesday? Okay.
thanks very much.
Wednesday.
Superintendent's report.
It's been a couple busy start of the school year, straight out. Just a couple of things I did want to highlight again. Friday night, football game, first home game, undefeated for football. The band, chorus will be there. Great event. There's at the high school for homecoming. We have all kinds of events going on. Saturday night's homecoming dance, and so lots of excitement going on here at the high school. I do also think there's a dance competition of some sort going on Friday afternoon that I hear is a not too miss event. I also, well, I had
Who are
the
the dancers gonna be?
Yeah.
students.
It's gonna be the staff.
You didn't know school board's dancing.
Dancing?
I expect to see,
I have heard that we're booking out gyms and cafeterias for practice, and they're really into it. And
Pretty serious.
so we've got some really good dancing
Pretty
going on.
serious, yeah.
What time, when are they doing that on Friday?
It's around,
Between 2 and the end of our assembly
Yeah.
starts at 2.
Wow.
so the end of the day.
Stacy, can I ask, under the lights, because I know we don't have a lighted field, how are we getting lights?
Correct. The football booster club, the parents group, is paying for lights they're renting them to come in, so.
For just
it's-
one night, or?
For just one night, yep,
Yeah.
you can rent them, and so they're sponsoring that night as an event, and we expect a pretty big turnout. I'm thinking,
Very cool.
I'd love to see us undefeated for the rest of the year. Yeah, knocking shirts.
Yeah, yeah.
Just a reminder, October 12th, in 2 weeks, the state school board is holding their meeting here at Goffstown High School, another great event. I mentioned earlier that Lou D'Alessandro came and visited last week. He had a great visit. He went around to every school, had an opportunity to get into classes and see all the great things that are happening here in Goffstown. October 12th, the state school board will be here. They'll be here at 9, so if anybody did want to, we have about an hour and a half with them. That students will be doing student presentations and different things. It's all student-centered, so they'll be able to kind of show the state board what they're doing here at Goffstown High School and what we're proud of. And so then they'll hold their regular meeting here as well, so they'll be here all day.
Is it gonna be here in the
I believe it'll be in the conference room, because they're small. I think we just need some chairs for audience, but Lynn is working with them on the logistics of the day. Let's see, I did get an email actually from the middle school, music department, because one of the things we've been really working on is increasing our numbers in music and chorus and band. As of this week, they have 130 students registered in band, 110 students in chorus, and 56 students in strings, their highest numbers ever. So that's a nice thing to see that we're growing that program. So I know that was kind of a question I've had as we've seen numbers go up and down in those programs, and it seems like we've got a really great, strong population. That's about 30% of the population that are in a performing arts at the middle school, so it's nice to see. And I think that's all I have at this moment.
New business. Building committee?
Let me take that on,
Sure.
unless one of the building committee members wants to.
I wasn't at the last meeting, so
Okay.
rather.
So, I think I mentioned at last meeting, we've been having some conversations with CMK, who's the contractor that's doing the architectural and engineering studies regarding fees, because we changed the scope of the project, particularly at Bartlett, where we were tearing down the 1922 building and putting up a new building, which wasn't part of the original scope of the project. So we've asked CMK to come to us. They were asking for where this is going, they were asking for additional fees because we changed the scope of work, and it was obviously more work for them to create a new building in replace of the other versus just renovating that building. So we asked them to look at what their estimated cost was for the renovation versus the costing of the new building. And so I've got a 2-page document here, which lots of numbers and figures. In general, the committee and CMK met 2 weeks ago, and they have moved really far along. I believe in hopefully our next meeting we'll have kind of final design and plans and a final GMP number. I think they have people dedicated to this and have moved right along. They've taken our feedback, it's been good, they've been moving. But we came up with the fee, and so we're requesting the board, allow the committee to, it's a fee, an additional fee of $46,300 for that additional piece. Ray's done some number crunching with our current budget, and we believe as long as we have no other, we're hoping in the next, 2 weeks that they're finishing up, that nothing else comes up. With the contingency we had in our budget, with the impact fees we already have, we should be able to cover that cost. So what we're looking for is board approval to be able to, spend, it would be a total of, $46,300 to finish up the CMK contract, to be able to get that additional piece together.
And,
That will get us to.
with or without additional impact fees?
Without,
Without? Oh,
yeah.
good.
With the contingency we had and some of the testing
Yeah,
that we were looking at
the
doing that we
savings we
don't
made,
need to
yeah.
do, at this moment in time, we're not thinking.
Great.
So we think we can do it within the budget that's already out there with the impact fees, so.
Terrific.
And we will have a set of buildable documents.
Absolutely, yeah.
Whereas the previous contract did not include buildable documents.
The original
It did.
contract did include it, but then when we
Did.
added the addition, they kind of pulled back and said, okay, here's what we can do for you to get to, we can get up to, through the drawings,
Design.
through the design phase, not the biddable phase, for the same price, because you changed the scope. We went back and said, no, we want biddable documents, what is the cost to get there? And that was the $46,000 to get us final documents, which, if we went to vote in March and it passed, we could go right out to bid, be done, and start a project right then and there, so we would be ready to go, as it would say, shovel ready.
Is there a timeline on how long these plans are valid? I mean,
Very
I
well.
Do
mean,
they
the
have an
plans are valid
expiration date?
forever.
No.
Plans
I
would be
mean,
valid forever,
unless-
the price may not
Till
be.
No, I realize
Yeah.
code
that.
changes,
No.
that's it.
Yeah,
If there are code changes that do develop here in town,
We'd have to be
then we'd have to
incorporated.
be modified.
Oh.
But if nothing happens, they're good
They're good.
indefinitely.
Okay.
So we'll actually have materials in front of us that we can share with the community.
absolutely, you'll have drawings, you'll have
Completely.
pictures,
Oh,
you'll
yeah.
have everything.
In living
And a
color.
guaranteed maximum price as well.
I need a motion.
Well,
Do
if
you want-
we're within our budget, why do we need further?
Because we're extending the contract with CMK, we're paying them more. The
Okay,
committee doesn't have authority to spend more.
Right.
but we have a budget that we have authority to spend, do we not?
Well, we have the impact fees, we have I don't think we have authority to spend beyond what the contract is for 300,000. So we're
Okay.
asking for a revised contract, basically.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I suppose I should.
Hank is a second. Any questions? Concerns? All in favor of approving an increase in the contract to accommodate the $46,300 in additional fees because of the broadened scope of the project?
Is that money coming from impact fees?
Yes.
Additional money? Okay, so it's,
All in favor?
All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Do you want to speak to your opposition?
I didn't vote against, I voted in favor.
Well, you did.
I did,
Well,
yeah,
you-
sorry,
it
I was
came
slow
up.
draw McGraw.
In that
Sorry.
case, it's unanimous. And I was quick. Can we remove item B?
You sure can.
Great, super, we're done, we'll move right along.
And Kinetic Mountain, yes?
So, yeah, so our, Deb Jory, our board secretary, is resigning.
Can she do that?
Only
I
if
know,
only if somebody makes a
so
motion.
she is willing to
It gets
stay.
seconded
Yes.
and it gets
She's
voted
willing,
in
she's
favor
willing
of.
to stay until we find a replacement, so if I just drag my feet on finding a replacement, she could be here for the next 3 years,
good.
no. But she has requested that, it has nothing to do with the board, it's,
I reluctantly move that we accept Deb's I don't know, what is it? Retirement, resignation?
Resignation. Yeah.
Relinquishment?
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Not
With regret.
particularly, but
Opposed? You lose, sorry. Oh,
So I will,
no, thank you.
yes.
Thank you for
Thank
job
you.
well done.
And thank you for being willing to kind of hang in there until find somebody to try to fill your shoes.
So we will advertise that. How much, does the board want to be part of a process? Do you want me to just interview somebody? Does anybody want to be part of that process of getting somebody on board?
We have faith in you, Stacy.
Okay.
So we can blame you.
Somebody
we're
who
not-
can't take minutes. Deb does a good job of them. Okay, thank you.
Hunkingham Mountaineers Snowmobile Club
Yeah,
request.
this is just a annual request to be able to use a right-of-way, to be able to pass through the property, the snowmobiles and ATVs.
What
This is a
one?
request that comes up every year.
so we've heard this
Yeah,
before.
it comes up, they fill out a little form.
37 grand, I
And
think.
they just agree they don't like
Shed.
tootle by during school hours.
Right, it's just
Yeah.
actually an access point, I think, somewhere across the property that they use. We've never had a problem
Just
with them.
saw that in the transfers. Sees me.
Just a question to ask, is there any liability towards the school district for them crossing?
No, they have their own insurance, and we have an insurance binder naming us as the
Okay.
insured.
You might want to request an updated policy on January 2nd.
Okay.
This one expires
Yeah, January 1st.
January 1st.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I'll make sure you see it.
Okay.
Mrs. Tremblay has a question.
Yes.
Just as a comment, I don't have a snowmobile. I've never ridden a snowmobile. Don't know anybody in the Uncanonic Mountaineers, but I do know people who've had dealings with them. And they have always been very positive,
That's-
always.
And ours have as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I have
Last
no
year they
qualms.
rebuilt a bridge for on the trail or
Right,
something. I mean, they've done
exactly.
some work for us.
They're an asset to the community.
So I think I saw a motion
Yeah.
from Hank.
Yeah.
So a second,
Whatever, whatever.
Diane's the second. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? We're unanimous. NHSBA, call for resolution.
Yep, I think you probably, I'm thinking at this point, have gotten your little packet on the resolutions. So again, just a reminder, if you want to write any, if you have any input, at some point we'll be asking for somebody to go to the school board's meeting and vote on those resolutions. So take a look at them. If there's anything else you want to add, I can certainly work with you on that.
When do they do? I don't remember. It's coming
in
up.
November.
Last week.
No.
Yeah. October 21st.
Okay, thank you for looking at that.
Do we have a meeting before that? Yes.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, about
So,
the 17th.
so if there are any recommendations, they would have to come from the board and we would have to be able to vote on them, correct?
Yep, on the 17th. Yep.
So-
You as a board would want to make sure
Right.
you are all in support of that.
Just as an FYI, we'll include it on our agenda for the next meeting. Anybody has the anybody who wants to take the opportunity, if there's something you think is appropriate, I think probably the easiest way to at least get it in front of the rest of the people on the board is to shoot an email out. And that way we'll at least be prepared to have a discussion and potentially vote on any recommended resolution. Ben? Let's see. What do we do next?
Resignation.
Yep.
So I've got, pass out sheet. We have one resignation coming forward before the board. It is a current teacher who's requesting to be let out of her contract. Sue Tipton, she's a chemistry teacher here at the high school. Her resignation today was her last day. I told her that I had no authority to approve that, but that the board would need to do that. I support the recommendation. She's actually sold her house and is moving out of state. And so the high school has done a really nice job, so if you actually, in preempting your potential acceptance of that resignation, the next nomination would be Morgan Peach as a chemistry teacher. So we were actually able to find somebody who I think is highly qualified and will do a wonderful job. We
And
lucked
a
out.
Goffstown High School graduate.
He is, yes.
It's a he, okay.
It's a
That's all I
he,
wanted.
yes.
One of those
It's a he.
names drives me crazy, you can't tell.
And so I guess I would start with the resignation before I went to the,
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll move with regret to
A
accept
second?
her resignation. No? I used to like her a lot.
Do I have a second to the motion to accept? Hank, is the second, all in favor? Opposed, abstentions, or unanimous? Can I get a motion on the nomination of Morgan Peach as chemistry teacher at GHS?
Can I ask, step and track on Mr. Peach?
what's on his stuff? I believe he's bachelor's step one, let me just double check. Bachelor step one,
Wow.
he's a newbie.
I thought you
Graduated-
graduated a long time, I thought you graduated before that,
No, he
but,
just graduated from Middlebury College with a
She's
chemistry
been around.
degree.
no, I'm just thinking, you only graduated 4 years from here then, I thought it was longer than that.
Do I have a motion?
Maybe.
I'll make the motion.
A second? Suzanne is the second. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Hank, did you vote? Okay. Unanimous.
Is he able to start immediately?
He is. He came in today to preempt tomorrow. So I'm gonna call them all tonight and let them all know who's doing what. This is just, we have an intern who started, Emily Petrie, who's working at Bartlett with Chris Grove, so that's just for your information. And we have many, many co-curricular non-sport nominations. You can say we put a little N next to, and I copied that page so you can see which ones are newer positions, are new people to those positions. Ninth grade advisor, they shift up, so they're new for ninth grade. We have a new drama assistant. Strength and conditioning is being split by 2 people, and we have an additional new person on yearbook.
Do I have a motion to accept the co-curricular nominations?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? Who's the second? And I'll let you finish reading through the list, and if you have any questions,
I have a question.
go ahead.
The 2 GHS drama positions here, there's quite a disparity, and I don't understand.
Cause Colleen would do them, is the main, and then the other one's kind of the assistant piece, so she probably isn't here all the time. It's probably more like a part-time, let me see if it's spelled out.
It must be part-time.
Yeah, I'm guessing it may be just assisting at some level.
We might have made that agreement.
Yeah, usually they'll talk to share a position.
Well, I understand that, it's just
Yep.
that it's quite a, if it's splitting a stipend, it's a very, in my opinion, an unusual split. But I'm not opposed to it if it works.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion as presented? Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous. Are you good student interns? No nominations?
Non-public.
Okay.
You almost did it?
We'll get non-public.
We're
Okay, all
ready to
right.
go into non-public, so therefore I need a motion to go into non-public.
Oh, there.
And do I have a second? Jimmy's the second. I need head nods for everybody. Everybody, good? All right.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a long non-public?